Yes, bro.
I'm a big guy, 18 stone, 6'3". So if I pick you up on my shoulder or pick you up above my head and I drop you down onto the ring, there's no faking that. And your body can, you know, without being too crude, if you haven't been for a poo for a couple of days, you're going to be carrying around a few extra pounds of unwanted stuff in your body.
We got a guy who's skinny as hell, son.
Yep.
He's not attractive. No women likes him at all because he's so skinny again. He comes to you, listen, and says, "Hey, listen, man. Again, I want to look like you. Yeah, I want to look like you."
So I thought, I'll go along one day, give this wrestling a try. If I'm rubbish or it's rubbish, then I haven't lost anything.
Okay, so give us a time frame. Mr. Blobby, Mr. Blobby comes to you. He's 22 stone, 22 stone, and he wants to look like you. Yeah.
Okay, so.
Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Entrepreneur Insights. This week's guest, we have Len Steen Rees, who is a bodybuilder, I would say, bodybuilder, personal trainer. He does everything, but we're going to let him tell you about what he does. All right, please welcome Len Steen. Len Steen, what's happening, my man? How you doing?
How are you doing, Peter? All right, yeah. I'll just correct you on the name because most people get it wrong, so it's Yestin. But good effort there, definitely.
Pronounce it again.
Yeah, Yestin.
Yeah, what origin is that from?
It's Welsh. It's quite a unique name, even for Welsh. You know, for Welsh names, they can get a little bit complicated. But yeah, it's the original Yestin became Justin when it got transferred to English, basically.
Yestin. So why wouldn't they spell it with a Y? Yestin.
Just the way that the Welsh language goes, you know. It just there's always letters in funny places, shall we say.
Listen, okay, man, look at the size of this geezer. This geezer is massive. My God, you're about, what, 6'2"?
6'2", 6. Well, I started off at 6'3". I'm probably shrinking as I'm getting a bit older these days.
All right. All right, you tell us a bit about what you do. Tell us about your
sure. Company. So I'm a senior physiotherapist. I've been a physio for 20 years now. I've also been a professional wrestler for 20 years, and that's kind of led me to get into the gym, get in shape. And I've been online coaching, so PTing people online for about 10 years now, and that's where I want to sort of take my sort of entrepreneurial business, sort of trying to gain more and more clients, looking to work with busy guys, 35 to 50, family men, businessmen, you know, short on time, but still want to get in shape. And I've built kind of a diet and training system that allows them to do that. I've had lots of success stories, so just want to get that out there further, basically.
Okay, well, let's take it from the beginning. What did you do when you left school, I would say?
Yeah, cool. So I left school. I'd done my A-levels. I actually went and did a gap year. So I went out and lived in America for 7 months working at a ski resort. From there, came back home and then went to university. I did a 3-year physiotherapy course up at Salford University in Manchester. Once I graduated, came back home. There was a bit of a job shortage in physios when I graduated, so I was searching for jobs from Plymouth to Edinburgh and everywhere in between. And I actually luckily found a job in my hometown. So started working as a physio, actually at a college for young adults with disabilities. We soon linked in with the local NHS trust. So I was doing a bit in the NHS trust, a bit at the college. And then when a job opportunity came up in the NHS trust, I applied and got that job. And then I've been worked there for about 8 years in the trust. Was the head of hydrotherapy and rheumatology stuff there. And then I got applied for a job at Nuffield Health, and I've been at Nuffield Health for 10 years. So working in the private sector for the last 10 years in physio. About the same sort of time, I'd always been a fan of wrestling. I'd never thought that it was something you could just sort of do. And then I sort of saw on the internet that there was a wrestling school in Swindon. I'm a pretty good athlete. I played for Wales at basketball under 16s and under 18 levels, and I've been a decent sportsman all my life. So I thought, I'll go along one day, give this wrestling a try. If I'm rubbish or it's rubbish, then I haven't lost anything. And yeah, and that was 20 years ago. I've been lucky enough to travel all over Europe doing it. I've wrestled on the biggest shows in Europe over the last 20 years. Been this close to getting signed by WWE. COVID kind of put pay to that in 2020. It's led on to me working on computer games, TV adverts across Europe and stuff like that. And it did lead me into the sort of personal training, the online coaching. I started coaching, you know, I'd got myself in pretty decent shape. I started coaching sort of other wrestlers for free, and then I got better at coaching. So then I started charging for it. And then as I've got older, obviously got a family now. I've got my fiance, my little boy, he's 6.5, and I've got older stepkids as well. So I kind of learned sort of very, very quickly that, you know, it's very easy to be, and I've done some bodybuilding and stuff as well. It's very easy to eat like a bodybuilder when it's just you in the household, because you don't buy any snacks or crisps or chocolate bars. But then when you've got a family, you've got other commitments around that as well. So I started developing this system that is basically a strict diet, 5 and a bit days a week, but then relaxed diet the rest of the time, so people are able to hit their nutrition goals, but also they're able to enjoy some time with the family without that pressure of, you know, of having to eat out of Tupperwares and stuff like that. And the same with the training. So looking at training, trying to get people in the gym no more than an hour, sort of 4 days a week, so they've got plenty of time to spend with their family or socialize and do whatever they want to do, basically.
Let's talk about this wrestling, because whenever I watch wrestling, I used to watch. I think it goes back in the days of Big Daddy. Do you remember Big Daddy? Right, but to me, it was all fake.
So is it
still fake?
It's predetermined. It's entertainment. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm out there fighting for my life.
Right.
But if I, you know, you've seen the size of me, Pete. You know how big I am.
Yes, bro.
I'm a big guy, 18 stone, 6'3". So if I pick you up on my shoulder or pick you up above my head, and I drop you down onto the ring, there's no faking that. And this is why I always say to people, I say that the results might be predetermined, but the bumps and the bruises and the injuries and everything like that, you know, it hurts every time you land on that ring. You know, it's they equate it to being in a rear impact car accident about 25 or 30 mile an hour. So imagine, you know, you're getting hit from behind by a car in your car 10 times of an evening.
Wow. Serious. So you have you ever put some serious injuries on anyone, or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm very good, so I haven't injured anyone. I've been injured a few times, but it's more from my body sort of failing me, not through anyone's poor technique or anything like that. I've been pretty unlucky with injuries. So my right knee, about 15 years ago now, 14 and a half, I tore my patella tendon. So if you're looking down at your knee, so the bit below your kneecap where it's soft and squishy, that's the tendon that attaches all the muscles at the top of your leg. I completely snapped that in half mid-match. So my kneecap shot halfway up my thigh, and I had a great, underneath the skin, there was a great big gaping hole in the front of my knee. So I had to have that repaired. So that was 2 operations and 8 months on the shelf. November 22, I tore my bicep off the bone. So that was another surgery to repair that. That was mid-match as well. So that was 4 months on the shelf. I've had plenty of whiplashes, broken fingers, broken toes. I've partially torn one pec. So yeah, I've picked up a few bumps and bruises, shall we say, along the way.
Okay. So if the viewers are watching it and you ever came to a fight, just hit him in the places that
and there's plenty of places where you can hit
and you might be able to win that fight. So for the wrestling, so obviously you must have done the rugby before that.
Yeah, I played rugby at school and stuff like that. So yeah, I was very. My dad was a PE teacher, so I was lucky enough to be involved in all sports growing up. I was lucky enough to have footballs, basketballs, tennis rackets, cricket bats. You know, I had everything in the back garden. So I just love sport. I've always loved sport, and that led to me. So I played rugby from when I was 5 years old all the way through school, and then when I was about 13, 14. Basketball sort of came into my life, and I'd always been the best basketball player. And then another lad I went to school with, he started playing for a local club, and he was getting close to being as good as me. So I was like, well, I can't have this. So I said to my dad, I've got to go and play at the basketball club, because I've got to still be the best basketball player at school. And that led to me playing for the local club. So when I was 14, 15, I was good enough. I was playing National League basketball, under 15s, under 17s, and under 19s, all in the same weekend. So I was traveling all around the country, playing basketball. That led to me playing for Wales at under 16s and under 18s age group as well. And then when I went to university in Manchester, I was playing in the men's Division 3 National League team, playing with some guys that went on to play for Great Britain, play in the Olympics and stuff like that.
So so at school, was you always a big guy? Was you? I
was quite tall. I was very, very skinny. I mean, it's taken me a long time to get up to 18 stone. Right. I was one of those ones where, they used to say about me, there was more fat on a butcher's pencil than there was on me. I was very, very tall and skinny. It took some time to get up to 18 stone. Yeah.
Right. So we got rugby under your belt. You done wrestling under your belt, and then you became a personal trainer.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you go into personal training, or was it just a natural progression?
It's just a natural progression. Obviously, when you're wrestling in front of thousands of people, basically in a pair of swimming trunks, you got to keep yourself in good shape. So I learned, how to diet, how to train effectively. I had some coaching along the way as well, particularly when I was bodybuilding. I was actually coached by a guy who's competed at the Mr. Olympia competition. So I learned how to get better at dieting, get better at training. And that sort of led me into, like I said, other wrestlers would come and say, yes, and what are you doing to stay in shape? So I said, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And then I'd set them up with a little diet program and a training program, and they started to get good results. So more people started contacting me, and that kind of led into me starting to charge for it. And it was just a sort of snowball effect. I now work with some of the best wrestlers in the world, guys that wrestle over in America, in Japan, wrestling for the biggest companies in the world. And it's great, but also, as my life starts to change, as I'm getting older, I'm, slowing down a little bit with the wrestling. I felt that there was the niche of, trying to work with guys like myself, like I said, 35 to 50-year-old guys, busy businessmen, family men that want to be in shape, but don't necessarily know what to eat, how best to train, but also doing it in a time efficient manner. So, a lot of times you're given a really, over the top meal plan that has you eating 5-6 times a day. These guys don't have time to prep and eat 5 meals a day. So trying to make the food prep a lot easier, trying to condense the workouts as much as we can, giving them that time to be with their family, socialize. I've got clients that are businessmen that they live out of a suitcase 3 days a week, 4 days a week. So trying to work around all these sort of things as well, basically.
Okay, so we got let me give you a scenario, right? We got a man who's works 7 days a week, no, 5 days a week, right?
Yeah.
Family man, he hasn't trained before in his life, 35, he wants to get in shape. His wife looks at him and thinks, nah, I don't like this anymore. He comes to you, all right? Yeah. How'd you start him off?
So I'm gonna talk him through, what my process is, because there's lots of different processes to diets and stuff like that. Some of them will work for some people, some of them won't work for some people. The way that I work and the way that I found work for me and for my clients is to use what we call an intermittent fasting diet. So you fast for 16 hours. So when I say 16 hours, 8 of that hours is when you're asleep. So you go to sleep at 10 o'clock, you wake up at 6 o'clock. If you're a businessman, that's pretty standard sort of thing.
Yep.
You then would go through your day drinking water, sugar-free drinks, black coffee, black tea. At 2 o'clock, or the time where you break your fast, you'd have your first meal, which I would give to the client some options on what his meat choices would be, or his protein source if he was vegetarian or vegan. So that would be right. You can choose one of 4 things: a carbohydrate source, again one of 4 things, a vegetable source, and then a fat source. Either looking at some nuts or avocado or something like that. That would be meal 1, and then later on in the day, there'd be meal 2, similar sort of process, potentially some different choices there because of where the meal is in the day. And then there'd be the pre-bed snack, which helps you get a restful night's sleep, which would be normally a protein shake, some type of fruit, and normally like a peanut butter or an almond butter. So that takes the almond butter or the peanut butter slows down your digestion. So that keeps you full throughout the night so you get a good night's sleep. I'd also I'd go through what's called a functional movement analysis. So this is where I use some of the skills that I've learned through physiotherapy. So we'd go through a 7-point movement analysis. That's going to tell me how well the person's body moves. From that, I can make sure that the exercise program I design them, if they're a complete beginner, is going to be easy for them to follow. It's not going to risk injury, and it's going to be something that they're able to then progress on through the 12 weeks that I'd look to run the diet with them and go from there. From that, once we've settled that up and I've sent that through to them, I would then perform weekly check-ins where they would complete a form that's got some information on how the diet's gone, how, you know, if they missed anything, have they not hit their targets or eaten the meals that they're supposed to, how their training's gone, how their water intake's gone, and all these different things, how their sleep has been. And then I would assess it, and if we felt that we needed to make some changes, adjust some of the food that they were eating, the quantities to progress, either reducing body fat, increasing muscle, whatever their goal was, that would then be done. They'd then be given those set meals for the week. They go away and eat them. The great thing about the diet that I've set up is one evening a week, you get to have a meal completely free, so you don't have to worry about what the diet is, as long as you stick to that eating window. And then normally at a weekend, you get one day, as long as you're sticking to that eating window, you can eat what you like. So it's a strictish diet for 5.5 days with lots of freedom the other 1.5 days. So it because a lot of times when people are on diet plans, they have to eat certain things at a certain time, and that restricts their ability to eat at the same time or eat the same meals as their families, or go out and socialize because they need to be eating their set meal at this time and stuff like that. And that's all something that leads to people failing on their diets or failing on their training plan. So I've kind of worked this system out to allow some time of off-plan eating, so they can put in work functions, social functions, time with their family. And then with regards to the training, it's trying to condense everything to be done. So cardio and their weight training within about an hour in the gym. So they're not spending, an hour in the gym and then 2 or 3 hours out, walking, getting their steps in, because most of these people don't have 3 hours a day to be out and about walking. It's something that, they want to get in, get the gym done, tick that off, and then either more time to carry on working, more time with their family, or whatever they want to do with their time.
Now, you mentioned the strict diet that you do, and you haven't mentioned breakfast. Why?
So there is, So with the intermittent fasting, you don't eat breakfast. So, there's that old wives' tale. Breakfast is the most important meal a day. Yes, it all depends on how you're setting up your diet. So if you were thinking about a bodybuilding diet, definitely you're looking at maybe 5-6 small meals during the day. With the intermittent fasting, we're using that fasting window. That's when your body's burning through your fat stores, burning through the stored calories in your body. And then we're fueling the body in that 8-hour eating window. And that's giving you enough nutrition for the day for allowing you to hit your targets of whatever that may be. As I said, fat loss, muscle gain, combination of them both. And I'll be honest, this is a diet that I've followed for years and years and years. I miss breakfast. I occasionally have a very late one on the weekend when it's in my eating window. But I actually feel that a lot of times, most people's breakfast is either cereal, tends to be quite high in carbohydrates, often with a bit of sugar on there. That can sometimes lead to them being a little bit sluggish mid-morning as that sort of digests. What I find when you go through the intermittent fasting, because your body's not worrying about digesting that food because it's already digested, your stomach is empty and being, the hunger is being managed with the water and everything that you're drinking. Your mind's quite free and clear, and you're actually, you're quite lucid in the way that you're sort of thinking. So you don't get that sort of sluggishness that you can sometimes get sort of mid-morning and stuff like that. So it takes a bit of what I always say to clients, it takes 2 or 3 weeks for your body to adapt and your thought process to adapt. But once you do, it's such an effective way of achieving sort of the goals that you want, particularly if your goal is reducing body fat and increasing lean muscle mass.
Okay, so give us a time frame. Mr. Blobby comes to you. He's 22 stone. 22 stone, and he wants to look like you. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be talking a couple more than 12 weeks. But if he's 22 stone, so what I tend to look for is for people to lose between 1 to 2 pounds a week. That's a step. I'm not one of these guys that's going to crash the weight off of you, because that's just unhealthy and it leads to poor habits. So we'd be looking at say with a guy who was 22 stone, he's obviously got quite a lot of body fat to lose. So we could probably look around about 2 pounds a week. So in 12 weeks, he's going to lose 24 pounds, say somewhere between 24, 28 pounds. So that's roughly 1 3/4 to 2 stone. So in 12 weeks, we could potentially drop him from 22 stone to near 20 stone. If he then wanted,
size of a 2-year-old baby.
Exactly. So you're losing a lot of body fat. Sometimes, particularly if people haven't gymmed before, and we get them training and lifting weights, they don't necessarily drop as much weight, because obviously we know that muscle is more dense than body fat. So if they're quite new to the gym, they might gain 5 pounds of muscle in that time, but they might still lose the 28 pounds of body fat, but the overall scale is only a 23 pound loss. But what we'd also be looking at, waist circumference, hip circumference, leg circumference, chest circumference. So we've got some measures, because sometimes the scale can be a little bit misleading. Whereas if you're losing body fat, because it's so much bigger than the muscle, you're going to be losing a lot of inches, and and that's really important. So sometimes I have to explain to clients that we are looking at scale weight, but we're also looking at their body shape and their measurements as well, because that's as bigger indicator of how well they're progressing and stuff as well. But I would suggest that a guy who's 22 stone, we could potentially, 1.75 stones to 2 stone if they worked hard and stuck to the diet and everything like that.
Okay, let's go to reverse. We got a guy who's skinny as hell, son.
Yep.
He's not attractive. No women likes him at all because he's so skinny again. He comes to you, listen, and says, "Hey, listen, man. Again, I want to look like you. Yeah, I want to look like you. How are we going to do?"
What we do is work out the diet. So he would be into a what's called a calorie. So you've got your calories. So you've got the basic function. If we just laid in bed all day, it would take X amount of calories for us to just survive as being human beings. And then you've got how much you're moving around. So I'd work out the sum. So if this guy was 9 stone, 5'10", his basic calories might be 1,500 calories, and this is just me pulling numbers out of the sky. And then if he was starting to go to the gym 4 times a week, and he worked an office job, his activity, so his activity level of calories might be 2,500, let's say, for just easy math sense. So what we need to be is somewhere sort of 200 to 300 calories above that. So say 2,800 calories is what he'd be looking to eat, and we'd be looking at probably 1 gram per kilogram body weight protein, because that's going to help him grow the muscle that he wants to grow. So that would be how I'd sort of set up the diet. Again, same thing. He's going to be eating 2 or 3 meals in that eating window. And that's going to give him the food that he needs. He's going to be set up with a training plan. And the best thing about it is, if they were particularly on the skinny side, they're going to gain muscle quite quickly. They're going to find it more difficult to gain body fat. So he should actually gain a good amount of muscle in that 12-week period. Now, muscle is much harder to put on than fat is to lose. So I would suggest that if he was completely new to the gym, he might be able to gain a stone in that time. So go, say, from 9 stone to 10 stone, because your body, he's going to, he's never trained before. So your body reacts really well once you start giving it that training stimulus. If he was a naturally skinny guy that had been training for a little while, we'd probably look to gain maybe half a stone in that time. Again, everybody's body's different, but we kind of know that that's the sort of way that we'd be looking at things.
How would you keep someone motivated?
So that's a good question, because obviously either way there's going to be challenges along the way, and they're going to find potentially the diet a little bit tough to get going with, because it's something new, and sometimes to get results that you've never got, you've always got to do something that's slightly a bit different. And I'd talk through them. So I'd give them, they'd have access to me via WhatsApp Monday to Friday, office hours. We'd also have the weekly check-in that they complete, and then I'd also be offering, try and get them into a group and have a Zoom call every couple of weeks with the group, to sort of, so they can sort of see, bounce off ideas or ask questions, but it also gives other people, to see that they're not the only ones struggling with those problems. But it is that accountability and that ability to communicate directly with me that solves a lot of the problems and the questions, because people, sometimes they find it very difficult, particularly when you look at yourself every day in the mirror. You don't tend to see those little improvements, so you can sometimes, I'm not growing, I'm not getting slimmer. Yeah. But then when I take that snapshot from last check-in, whenever that may be, last week to this time, and I can see, right, you've lost 2 centimeters off your waist, you've lost 2 centimeters off your thigh, and you've lost, 2 pounds in weight that you didn't notice till you stepped on the scales this day compared to a week ago. Actually, we've made some really good progress, and it's showing them that potentially it's not just the scale weight, it's the measurements that they're losing, and also educating them that, losing fat or gaining muscle isn't always a straight line. It can be up and down, and sometimes your body can, without being too crude, if you haven't been for a poo for a couple of days, you're going to be carrying around a few extra pounds of unwanted stuff in your body and stuff like that. Or if you've drank a lot of water the following day, the previous day, you can find that you retain a little bit more water, and all of these things have an impact on how your body looks and feels and everything like that. So it's because of that 10 years of knowledge, and because I've been through this process with hundreds of people, I've seen all the different connotations and all the different problems, and that then allows me to answer their questions and normally put their mind at ease, really.
So is all of this done online? Do you not?
Yeah, all of it's done online. So I've got an app that I use that I'd send out their training program, and they complete the check-in on there. I'd send them some PDFs once I'd gone through it. We'd have a consultation call where I'd talk them through, what they want to achieve, find out what they're currently doing, training wise, diet wise, and everything like that. I'd then book in for them to have the functional movement assessment, which would be another Zoom call where I get them set up. I get them to perform the 7 exercises, 3 times each exercise, but from different camera angles as well, so I can see how their body moves. So I make sure that the exercise I've given them are appropriate for them, and then we're in contact in the week via WhatsApp, and then online via the Zoom call and the check-in. And then if they felt that they wanted to have like a Zoom call to go through stuff from the feedback that I've given them from the check-in, we could always book that in as well.
Okay. Do you train women as well? Because I noticed you focus.
I do train some women. I've got a couple of high-level professional wrestlers, clients that are females, wrestling all over the world. Yep. I felt that with my life experience and where my life is now, that I've got a good niche, which is guys like myself. But if there was a female that potentially wanted, that fit in with that niche, or felt that she wanted to come on board, then I've got no problems with that at all. But I was just trying to find a niche that I can appeal to through social media advertising and talk through the issues that I have and make it sort of relatable, and try and explain to people that they're not alone when they think that either injuries are going to stop them working out, they don't know what to eat, they don't know how to train and stuff like that, because it's all the things that I'm going through on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis as well.
Okay, so you say that, okay, you got a niche, all right?
Yeah.
So would I be right in saying that you prefer to have men who want to build themselves rather than men who want to?
No, whatever their goal is, and often, most of the time, from experience, most people come into it. They would normally stand to reduce or look to reduce their body fat first of all, because most of the time, poor eating habits with the way that food is set up these days, it's much easier to overeat than it is to undereat, because there's lots of hidden calories and stuff in foods. Poor food choices, fast foods and easy quick and grab, and even things like protein bars aren't great for you because they're really high in fat content. That's why the calories are so high in them. So people might think that I eat 2 protein bars and I have 3 shakes a day and I do this and I do that, and it might be that that's not quite the right. They're trying to be healthy, and that protein's plastered across all types of food sources these days, and people think, it's got protein in it, must be healthy. But it's just about finding those right foods. I'm a big proponent of whole foods, and the meats, veg, carbohydrates from potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, pasta. Those are what people need to sort of base their diet on to be healthy. And that's where we're quite strict with those 5.5 days, but they have the chance to have a pizza on a Friday night. They can have ice cream and puddings and stuff on the Saturday, as long as they keep it within that eating window, and they still have success. I've got transformations of guys that are similar age to me, still enjoying time with their family, nights out with their friends and all this stuff, and still making progress as well. So focusing on the right foods most of the time, allowing them some freedom so the diet doesn't become boring, and then going from there.
Well, you keep mentioning your age. How old are you now?
I'll be 42 next month.
There you go, bro. 42.
Yeah.
Looking great in shape. What's your advice when people say, look, I don't want to go gym, mate. I'll just take a couple of steroids and I'll be all right. What's your advice? What's your thing on people on drugs?
There's so many sort of health issues and stuff where people don't know what they're taking and stuff like that. Obviously, as we get older as chaps, there is a natural decline in your testosterone. And I think there's something like testosterone replacement organised by a doctor is something we're going to see more of over the next 10 to 15 years. I know there's been a big revolution in women's health with HRT being a lot more readily available and a lot more sort of open and spoke about. I would be hopeful because of the issues around low mood, increased weight, and everything like that with guys over sort of 35 to 50 as their testosterone decreases. There's lots of other health issues associated, but it's something that it needs to be regulated and managed through a doctor and prescription and stuff like that. You know, there's always that quick fix. You know, there's, you know, for weight loss at the moment, we've got, you know, these Ozempics and injections like that. There's always going to be a certain type of person that's looking for a quick fix, but the quick fix comes normally with a lot of you know, other risk or other side effects involved. And so I would always suggest that, you know, you can have fantastic results, you know, doing things the right way, eating whole foods. You know, the training doesn't have to be super duper, you know, it's not about being, you know, you're not in the gym 3 hours, you know, you're not Ronnie Coleman trying to squat 800 pounds. It's just doing a bit of resistance training. That has been proven the best way to burn calories, to build muscle, which means that your body then becomes more efficient at using the energy that it's got. You know, the more muscle you have, essentially the more you get to eat, because your body needs more calories to sustain the muscle that you've got. So once we've got people into a good position and they're managing their diet well, they've reduced their body fat quite significantly, and they've gained some muscle, they'll actually find that they're eating more food because their body then needs that to be able to exercise, to be able to maintain the muscle that they've got. So there's lots of benefits to just eating whole foods, exercising, drinking lots of water, and doing the right things.
You hear that, guys? There's lots of benefits to eating whole foods rather than trying to inject yourself and getting big. Lesteen, you call yourself Lesteen Fitness. Where can we find you?
So I'm on Instagram at Yeston Rees Fitness. You can go to yestonreesfitness.com. That's going to be my webpage. That'll have links of how you can contact me for a consultation call if what we've discussed today sounds like something you'd be interested in finding out more about. And then we can go from there. And I think that, like I said, I've got proven results. I've been doing this for 10 years. It's the way that I live my lifestyle. I've got lots of clients that have improved their lifestyle in a short period of time. 12 weeks really made a difference. So yeah, looking forward to working with anyone out there that's interested.
Oh man, this is going to be great, son. Lesteen, it's been a pleasure talking to you for this half an hour, and you've given us so much information to find you. You can find Lesteen on all social medias, because look at this guy. Yeah, women, just look at this guy and say to yourself, man, I want my husband to look like him.
That's it.
And that's it. And you're great. I mean, some men can be intimidated by the size of you. Have you ever come across that? Or
yeah, it can be. You know, I've learned through my job as a physiotherapist. I think when I come out of the clinic room and I go into the waiting area, I can see some people like sit back in their chair. I hope you've got my video. But I'm a big gentle giant. You know, I might play a tough guy when I'm in the ring, and you know, I think if you came and watched me at a show, you'd be quite surprised how big and scary I can be. But I'm a nice guy. I'm here to help people. You know, I'm approachable. I'm always looking to answer people's questions. I'm always looking to help people. It's what I really enjoy, and that's why I've sort of really want to move into helping more guys my sort of age that might be struggling a little bit with trying to get in shape and go from there.
There you go. Lesteen, thank you very much for this interview. You've been
having me. It's been great.
Absolutely great.